Hey guys, welcome back to You Fix It Garage. This video is video number 2 in a 2-part series of how to create lockable storage behind the rear seat of a Toyota Tacoma truck, and then also how to remove that awful factory storage bin that's back there and replace it with an awesome looking gun mount. So if you made it to this video and you missed the first one, I'll put a link up here. You may want to click that and go check out that video. It's not absolutely necessary, but if you want to be able to lock that area back up so that you can put valuables back there, that's a good video to go check out. So if you remember in the last video, I showed how to remove the plastic, and so this video is going to pick up where that left off, and that is with the plastic bins removed from the back of the truck and now starting to build the gun mount. So real quick before we dive into it, I just want to mention that my channel is supported by your participation. So please, if this is helpful to you, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and add some comments in there. Anything that you'd like to put in there, all of that helps with driving my videos. Also, I've put links in the description to all the products and parts that I've used, and so if you use those videos, if you use those links, it doesn't cost you any more, but it does help with some revenue for my channel so that I have beer money. Alright, so here we go. Once all the plastics are out of the back of the truck, the next thing that I need to do is create a plywood piece to go in here that's going to be the backing for my gun rack. And one of the things that you got to take into consideration are these anchor points that are right here. There's 3 of them across the back, and those anchor points are for putting car seats in the vehicle, so you don't want to cut those off. That's a safety feature, and somebody who has the vehicle after you may need those. So you're gonna have to cut around those on your plywood, and then to attach the plywood inside here, I'm going to use the factory threaded studs that are in this crossbar right here. So it's just going to be attached in the middle, but I'm going to have some supports on the back of the plywood that's going to make it rigid. I'm going to use a piece of 1/2 inch plywood, and that should hold anything that I want to put back here. So I'm going to cut to the plywood, and I'm going to show you the measurements on it. I just went to Lowe's and I bought a 24 inch by 48 inch sheet of, or partial sheet of plywood. I think it cost me $17, and the 48 inch is just big enough. It leaves about maybe 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch on each side in between the plastic and the plywood, and so that works. So the only thing you have to do is trim the height of it. So from bottom to top, 18 3/4 inches is what you're going to cut it. And then the next thing you got to do is cut around those anchor points, and so I've got the measurements for that here. So it's 12.5 inches if you measure from the bottom up and draw a line all the way across. That's going to be the bottom of the hole for where your anchor point's going to come through. And then these are the measurements measuring from the left side of the plywood. So the first one is going to be 8 1/4, and then it's going to be 1.5 inches wide, so that's going to make it 9 3/4 on this other side over here. And then moving on across, you've got 23 1/8 to the next hole that you need to cut out, and then all the way across here 38 inches to this next hole. And that should get you very close to getting those anchor points coming through your wood. The holes for the studs that are in that little cross member that we're going to use, or I'm going to use to attach this plywood inside, those are 11 1/8 inches up. So again, measure 11 1/8 inches up, mark you a line across your plywood, and then come in over there 2 3/8 to the center, 13 3/16, 26 1/8, 34 3/16, and 45 5/8. And verify this with measurements on your own truck, but that's what I came up with. And if you make these holes a little bit bigger than you need them, then that gives you some wiggle room if you're off by 1/16 of an inch or so when you drill those holes. So now I'm going to flip this over and show you what I did on the back side. Alright, here's the back side of the plywood. This is the bottom. Here's where the anchor holes go through, and I took a router and I routed out about 1/4 of an inch around to recess that because the way those anchors are, they stand off of that support that goes across there a little bit, and that gave me room. If you don't have a router and you can't do this, you could just cut this hole this big and it would give you room for that, or you could cut it out and it would just stand off just a little bit because it won't fit quite as flush. But that's what I did. And then to add support or rigidity, I added across the bottom and the top, this is a 1 inch wide, all right, it stands 1 inch out from the plywood, and it's 3/4 inches in width here, and that is going to give some rigidity across the bottom and the top, and it's going to give something for that to push against when I screw it all down. So that's really all there is to the plywood. The next step is to screw it into the truck. Here's the factory bolt that held the plastic in the back, and it's going to be too short. I think you're going to find it's too short for the plywood. So I just went to Lowe's again, and I bought these screws, and these are M6 metric 6-1 by 30, and those are going to give me just enough length to get those screwed in. And then I bought some washers to put underneath them. This is what you're going to have once the plywood is installed in the truck. It's screwed in. It's very rigid, and I think it's going to hold whatever we mount back there very well. The next thing I'm going to do, I want to dress this up a little bit. It just doesn't look good with just a plywood, although you could definitely just put your mounts on there and mount whatever you want back here if you're not really cared about the looks behind the seat. But I'm going to dress it up a little bit. I went to the fabric store and I got this awesome crocodile print vinyl, and really I didn't get it because I think it's awesome. I got it because it was the cheapest gray vinyl that they had. It was $20 for a 24-inch wide by 5-foot long piece of vinyl. And the way I'm going to secure this in here, I'm going to use these little push grommets that I've got, and I'll drill some 1/4-inch holes across there, and then in the vinyl I'm going to take my soldering iron and get it hot. I'm going to fold the vinyl over and burn some holes in it that correspond to my mounting holes across here and down the sides, and that will hold that in place. I'm not going to worry about attaching it to the plywood because once I screw my mounts against it, that's going to hold it back there, and it should look pretty good. Here's the view of the back once I got the vinyl installed. You can see I took the mounts that hold the seat backs up, I took them off and then reinstalled them once the vinyl was in place. And there's those little push tabs that are holding everything in place down along the edges. And so I think that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to show you a really cool product that I got for mounting the weapons back here. Guys, just real quick, I want to show you the mounts that I'm using to mount the guns and the magazines in the truck. These are a cool product by a company called Spartan Mounts. They're an American company, American made, and they 3D print gun mounts. So if you like what you see here, please go check them out and give them some business. Support small business and American companies. So these things, like I said, are 3D printed. The way they work is they attach to a wall, or in my case the back of the truck, the 2x4 or the plywood that I've put in there. They slide in the magazine well of the weapon and they hold your weapon in place. This one is for an AR-15 and it's got a place for a PMag to slide underneath it. I've got mounts for a SIG P320, a P365 for eye and ear protection, magazines for the AR, and magazines for the P320. And they make a lot of different stuff other than just this. So again, please go check them out. Now I'm going to go get this stuff installed in the truck and I'll show you the final finished product. So here's the finished product. I mounted the AR and the AR mags, the P320 and 320 mags, and my eye and ear protection on Spartan mounts. And I have that P365 right there mounted to a mag bar mount. It's one of the magnetic mounts. I'm going to put links to all of that stuff in the description, as well as the parts that I used for the seat backs. I hope this was helpful for you guys. You got some ideas on how you can modify your own vehicles and make some secure storage. Keep your handguns and firearms out of the hands of auto burglars and criminals. If this helped you, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and add some comments if you've got questions or criticism or anything, all the comments are appreciated. They help make my videos better in the future. You guys have a great day.